Real people, real stories, and real challenges that break the status quo. I'm your host, Zivile, and welcome to Perception Paradox. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Perception Paradox. Today we are live from Metrical One in Copenhagen, and with me I have Rune Theill, who is the CEO and co-founder of Rockstart, and in general, I don't know, he's been around startup scene, as long as I cannot remember, I guess. So today...
Make it sound very old. I like it.
No, I haven't been that long. And we always keep meeting in some technology events, and we would always say hi, some shared people we know, and then we would exchange some information, start the conversation going, but I've realized at some point, wow, I would like to invite Rune to come and talk a bit about life, about startups, more in depth maybe, and also to share this knowledge with you guys. So welcome to Perception Paradox.
Thank you so much, Cyril. Super happy to be here. And as we just spoke about, it feels like we see each other almost every week at some point, right? Like we at every single conference, and we were like super excited to see each other. But when you invited me, I was like, well, how much do I really know about you? So I'm most excited to be here, so I can get to know you a bit more and just share a bit.
Yeah, likewise. So thank you for being here. So
much appreciated.
How is Copenhagen this summer?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, I've been 12 years abroad. I moved to Amsterdam in 2011 to start Rockstart together with two Dutch guys. And then during COVID, I actually relocated to Portugal to have slightly different scenery. Everyone was locked up inside, and I was like, nah, that doesn't sound like the best way to spend time. So 12 years between the two locations, back in Copenhagen. And it's when the weather is out, it's lovely. I recommend Copenhagen if you can catch the sun, which is a challenge.
And but there is always wind, and you like kite surfing, so.
Yeah, that's another one. You might hear it on the microphone. It's actually windy today.
Yeah.
And Copenhagen is a nice spot for that. Like you have Amager where you can go around, and regardless of where the wind is coming from, you can find one spot.
Yeah.
Kite surf, so that's nice.
How did you get into kite surfing?
Well, the Netherlands is like the mecca of kite surfing, right? They have some of the world champions.
Yeah, Ruben and
Yeah. And I, of course, like everyone else, went to the beach now and then and saw, some of the great kite surfers doing loops and jumps, and it just caught my attention. I was like, wow, this is something I want to do. I actually had a few attempts earlier when I was in Denmark, but I was trying to learn it in November in Denmark.
Not recommended.
So if you're a beginner who mostly spend your time in the water, splashing around, trying to get on your board, and it's freezing cold, your motivation goes down. So that was in like 2008, and then I came to the Netherlands, and I saw, all right, a lot of people were doing it, really nice conditions during the summer, and I was like, that's something I'm going to pursue. So I went to Morocco. I did like a week course. I came back, I could kite surf, and then
Amazing.
I took it from there.
You still do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, me and my girlfriend bought a summer house, so we also have a little renovation project going on the side, which means the kite surfing is kind of secondary at the moment.
Yeah, but I guess once you're done with renovation, you can just get out of a house and go kite.
That was the plan, right? That was a big dream.
Maybe we can do podcast episode number 2 from the kite spot.
Absolutely, you invited. Yes,
I mean, that's quite funny that you mentioned that you started kite surfing when you moved to the Netherlands, because Denmark is one of the best places to do that as well.
Yep.
With the west coast, and also how easy it is to access to the water in Copenhagen.
Yep.
And I'm coming from Lithuania, so my all dream was to surf, and then I got to know about kite surfing, and the moment I wanted to go kite surfing, I've got dragged into cable wakeboarding. So there was no more time for kiting, but when I moved to Copenhagen in 2018, I was like, now I'm gonna kite surf, and then I went all into kite surfing.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing place to also do it. But I would say it probably picked up over the last since 18, 16, 15, something like that, right? In 2008 when I started, it was really like a niche sport. So there wasn't that many to go and kite surf with over the weekend.
Right. How do you think kite surfing helps you thrive in the startup scene?
Or maybe more in life in general.
In the life?
I would say, I mean, building a company is like constant pressure, right? There's constant issues that you need to solve until you get to a scale of profitability and certain size in terms of people and operational structures. And I would say on a Friday, you can be a little bit wired. You can feel a little bit exhausted, like overwhelmed by the amount of stressful situation that you had to manage. I think no company will be successful without going through like one cash issue. At Rockstart, we had several of those. We went through Corona, had a big co-working space. We had to close down, working all over the summer to try to salvage that in a good way. All these stressful situations that happen, I truly believe that you have to have something that you can, just get your mind off, relax, and do something completely different. And kite surfing is amazing in the sense that you are full body aware and full mind aware of what you're doing in that present moment. There's just no way you can start thinking about the stressful thing that happened yesterday, what you have to do tomorrow. Because when you do, you will realize that you are punished right away, right? You're out there in sometimes tough conditions with lots of wind, waves, and you have to be concentrated on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that allows you to completely release. So when I get out of the water after 1 hour, I'm just like, I can feel my shoulders coming down. I can feel, some of the stress that I had experienced throughout the week. It disappeared. I feel a lot more alive, a lot more fresh, and just ready to go and do something different. So it's kind of a way that I manage to turn from work mode into a bit more like relaxation and just weekend mode.
What would you say to someone who is hustling and building a startup? And you know how it is. You get in, especially in the early stages, you get into this hustling mode and you forget to eat, you forget to sleep, you forget your friends, environments, because you just want to make it work, that's trial. How to really get out of that loop and find time to something to rewind your mind. Not necessarily kite surfing, but...
Like we live life forward but understand it backwards, right? So when Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher, said that once.
Yeah.
It's not me who came up with it. But in that very moment, when you feel so... Because often entrepreneurs also feel overly responsible. I often also ask about their childhood when I'm like interviewing them for like, why did they want to be an entrepreneur? Because there's always something that happened that, they want to make a change. They feel super responsible. And for that reason, they just keep going, right? They're very determined to make this happen. And that's the strength of a like really strong entrepreneur. It's like they don't let go. They just make it work almost regardless of the conditions. But that has a significant downside. And that is they're sometimes willing to push beyond their personal health, their personal well-being. And I have, like everyone else, fell into that trap. I would say probably 3 times where I felt so overwhelmed that I was not entirely sure how to get out of it. It was like, what decisions do I have to take right now to get out of it and reset? Like one of the tools that I ended up using, I started the company with 2 Dutch guys, Oscar Knipper and Don Ritsen, and I was the one leading the program in the beginning. And only when we had like 4 programs, I took the role as a CEO. That was in 2016. So I started out basically working with the entrepreneurs and running the accelerator program. So I had a lot to learn because we built an organization that I was not in the lead of in the beginning, with a lot of different, directions. So I very early on realized the need for myself to reflect. So I integrated this yearly reflection point where I took on a holiday by myself, kiting. And that was just a moment for me where I could reflect upon the things that happened throughout the year, like disconnect, try not to be imposed different things that I didn't want to do, really try to listen to my core. What is my need right now? What do I need to do? And then I could try to discipline myself throughout the year, like how do I make small changes to become less influenced by all these stressful, impactful events that are happening when you build a startup. That's been my initial tactic. I did that for 5 years, 6 years. And now I think I have like somewhat routines to... It's also a much more mature company that helps. but I have more routines to avoid getting into those difficult situations where you suddenly cannot get out because you overwhelm yourself with responsibility, the feeling of responsibility.
But I guess it also comes through learning and experience, and you have to reach the bottom so you could rise back as a phoenix and then get the learnings.
That's why I start with the quote from Søren Kierkegaard, because I was not able to see that at the moment, and I just had to experience it myself.
Yeah.
I, like every other entrepreneur, thought I was like had superpowers and superhuman and could just keep going, and only realized that was certainly not the case. As I suddenly met a wall, I felt despair and I felt lost, and I didn't know what to do exactly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So talking about the startups, entrepreneurship, and founders, I've been having already a couple of guests in previous episodes where both of them kind of highlighted that, being a founder is really glamourized a bit, kind of very perfectionized. It's on, everyone sees only that beautiful side of the unicorn's journey, but nobody sees the behind the scenes, what's happening for actually, if you want to get to that state. What would you say, since you've been here in this scene so long, what are the major misconceptions about founders' role?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm becoming a dinosaur in this, right?
No, you're an expert or experienced.
Been doing this for like 16 years,
16 years.
something, in different capacity. But let's first look a bit at the numbers, at least from Rockstart perspective, right? Before we make one investment, we looked at 100 companies, and we have declined 99. So 99 of those we believe are not venture-backable companies, meaning that we would invest. We wouldn't get our money back with a return.
How do you decide that? What are your criteria?
That can be many different, but we look at across team, we look at market as the two determining factors. Those two things are not going to change. Then we look at value proposition. We look at the product or the service, and then we look also a bit on, is this going to have, not a bit, but is this going to have like a positive enough impact? We only invest in purpose-driven founders, but I really look at bottom line. Do we believe that moves the needle in one of the industries that we invest in? So we decline 99%. So we only invest in 1% approximately. And out of the ones that we invest in, like the ones that becomes like true venture scale companies, that means like scalable businesses with a strong operations, is somewhere between 15 to 25% of the ones that we invest in, right? So the risk reward on this journey is pretty staggering. Like it's terrible. It's like the worst career you can pick, right? It's like
sounds like that.
Your failure rate is like I don't know, percentage wise. There's different numbers you can pick out, like between 90% fail to maybe 95% or something. And then above that, there's a few businesses that are being built that might not be venture backed, the small businesses. And then there's very, very few that becomes like venture-backable, scalable businesses. And even the one that becomes venture-backed, scalable businesses, as a founder, to really, to stay on board for the entire journey is a very difficult exercise, because you have to develop on so many levels. You have to develop skill sets. You have to develop on a personal level, your leadership capability, your management capabilities, and it's really, it's also been said a lot, but it's a bit of an athlete position that you put yourself in, like working the day-to-day hours that it requires to run the business, but then on top of that, you're building capacity and capabilities and skills to be able to execute the business on the next phase. And you kind of have to be ahead, and you're only ahead if you surround yourself with great people, like a great board, great advisors, great team members who can level you up to that. So I think the perception is that the moment that you're successful is like the hard work stops. It's certainly not the case. Maybe part of the stress goes away, hopefully. But I would say it continues to be an ongoing learning journey where you have to challenge yourself on a weekly basis to see if you're still in a position to grow your skills and capabilities to the next level.
Do you think someone who is not obsessed with a problem can build a successful scaling company?
Yeah, I do think so. We do look for someone who, I mean, I personally look for the very unstoppable entrepreneur, the one that will keep going and find a solution. I think there's very few of them, maybe 1 in 1,000, will qualify to be like a true unstoppable founder, and they will make a business work, even if they shift from like maybe one particular problem into another. So I think that character trait is what to look for in venture investment. But then having someone who is very specific knowledge about something, like understands the industry, understands the market dynamics, can understand how to price the product or service, know how to talk to the customer, have the network already. Like all of these factors are just qualifying for success, right?
Yeah.
It's going to help you a lot.
That's true. When I was checking your LinkedIn, and before Rockstart, you also had a business back in 2008 or something, right?
Yeah,
With Christmas tree and sustainability before it was cool to talk about that. How did you get into sustainability that early?
Okay, so I to really go back to the very beginning. My parents bought a conventional farm with the ambition to turn it into an organic farm.
Ooh, wow.
Yes, we moved there when I was like 3.5 years old. They bought it when I was 3.5, and we slowly moved in, and that was like the big dream of becoming one of the first one who could, be self-sustainable and have organic production. And in 1997, they were the third one in Denmark to do that.
Wow.
So obviously, they breastfed me a lot of this mindset, right? So this idea around like focusing on energy and agri-food that we do, I think, was very much ingrained in my early childhood thinking. It's also what makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
These are the fundamentals that we need to live and progress as humans. But early on, I was aware that there was a lot of waste in the conventional farming industry. Here amongst Christmas trees, where my family also was producing. So I thought, let's try to create something where you rent them out and take them back and put them on the field, and then
nice.
make that a business. That's a seasonal business, so that was a difficult one to execute, but it was fun. Like I learned a lot from it, and I think it did well with my upbringing and my university studies and the network and the knowledge I got from that.
Yeah. What did you study?
I originally thought, because of this very purpose-driven parents, that was also like giving me probably a political bit of a direction. I thought if you were in the European Union, you could influence politics the best. So that was the direction I started. And then I visited Brussels, and I was like, no, this is really slow. Like that's never gonna like in my lifetime. I will have like one initiative, maybe push forward or something. So I shifted when I came back completely into entrepreneurship, and I studied entrepreneurship in the first study that you could do at Copenhagen Business School. I think they're now in year number 15 or something, but we really did the first year, so the tryout year. You don't learn how to start a company by studying, but that was a great network. Mm-hmm. Many of those people that I still see today and are building businesses today. Yeah.
I get your point. I think the educational system, what it gives you the people who are gonna do things in the same area you are planning to do.
Yeah.
So that's very valuable. And the same see actually the value of accelerators. One of the things what you get is a network.
Yeah.
An easier entry to the market if you're going venture back way, right?
Yeah.
So kind of now it all makes sense. Agri-tech kind of industry in your accelerator.
Yes.
And you have a couple of more, right? So you invest into emerging tech and energy.
Yeah.
And it's all about the sustainability. So maybe we can touch base briefly. How did Rockstart was born? How did you meet your co-founders?
Yeah.
And
there was something we can start with the meeting. There was something called Startup Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's still running.
I think I'm not sure if it's still running, but I'm aware of that. It was still back in.
But it was this like 72-hour hackathon, right?
Yeah.
Where everyone came together on a Friday and on a Sunday.
They had a very good brand.
Super fun. Like there was a turning moment for me. I went to also the US to join one of the startup weekends in Portland, Oregon, and it was just the amount of people, the network, like it was just overwhelming. And through that network, I was part of the organizing team in Copenhagen when I was at Startup Bootcamp. I was sort of like doing some operations and some marketing. And through that network, I was connected to Don Ritson, one of the co-founders of Rockstart. And through that, we basically met. And we both had an ambition to help early stage founders to get like the first initial product market fit and help them raise funding, basically.
Yeah.
So it was a generic approach to a problem that we saw from Startup Weekend, entrepreneurs coming out, teams falling apart, not getting the next step. And we looked towards the US. We saw like Y Combinator being something that was born some years earlier, Techstars already being there. We're like, okay, this is an opportunity, let's do it. And then actually as I took on more the lead of the company, we also shifted the purpose and we shifted the mission of the company. So it really became purpose-driven founders. It really became to funding the transformation to a regenerative and sustainable future. That's our purpose.
Yeah.
And then it became very clear, like, let's look at domains, as we call it, where we can have the most impact. Energy, we already started investing in 2014, actually. And then in 2019, we raised the acquisition fund, and we started investing from that. And then emerging technologies is like the leapfrog opportunities, like patents, IP coming out from universities where you need to commercialize it, and then it can have like significant impact. So those are the three domains we invest from.
Yeah.
Underneath the same purpose. So it's all, sustainability driven.
Amazing. How many investments you've done so far?
Globally, we done I think it's like 360 something this moment. It's super early stage, right? So we have started to see both companies being acquired. Like one we invested in 13, got acquired in 2021 for like $330 million. It was like for us amazing. Right?
Yeah.
We had no idea that was even possible when we started out. I have to be honest. And of course now we build out a model where we sort of, okay, this is really what it can be. Let's see if we put money to work, if we can invest it wisely and make some good returns and have more impact.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I was about to ask you why you're still around in the scene, but now I think you just answered. Finally, you started seeing after many years of lots of work and energy towards the founders and the whole accelerator. You finally started seeing those measurable results, financially, where you can reinvest and actually expand and continue changing the world.
Yeah, exactly. It took a long time, but the plan was also not super clear. The plan was really, just trying to add value in different ways. And we started with, everything from co-working to like academy sessions where people could drop in and out. These like community events, and then the accelerator. And I think we made the value proposition a lot clearer and a lot more appealing, and the business model too. So now it's kind of time for us to show that it works and double down on the strategy. Yeah.
That sounds really great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
What would you say to someone who is building now and having maybe this kind of, I don't know, it's not working, and but they still know that there is a problem they can solve?
I mean, I did quite a few silly businesses. The Christmas tree one is one.
I can't believe that. It's awesome, actually.
I mean, it always brings a smile, right? Because it's like, Christmas trees? Really? Is that the best idea? Yeah, well... It was a business that I knew well, so I knew the
fair enough.
Well, also
fair
good,
enough.
And you can make a good proposition where there was obvious customers for it. But before that, I tried to do like a social shopping platform for shopping sustainable products. Probably also ahead of time, I think, a little bit. Just to say. Don't be discouraged by your first failures. If I look back at my first sort of 3 businesses, I mean it was not a success, right? Like I can't, although it was making money and I could sort of sell part of the business to a competitor when I wanted to shut it down, but it's not what you would see as a success, but it gave me the fuel and the understanding to, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it next time. Going to start slightly different. And with Rockstart, it was very much a lean approach to building a business. Like, let's build something and see how it works, and then scale it up, scale it down. And I think that's how we got to exactly what we are today. So the journey is long. I would say that Rockstart as a working business is just happening over the last 3 years or something. And I've been on this entrepreneurial journey for what, like 16 years, right? So it takes time before you get that. That's my message.
Be patient, be resilient.
Your objectives and your personal strategies should be like decades. I don't believe it should be. I mean, yearly objectives is fine, but like if you really want to achieve something, for example, yourself, if you want to position yourself in your podcast and make a difference, and like it's a long-term stretch, right?
I'm ready for that. Maybe
you're gonna have to have like hundreds of these conversations. Right?
I know, but
so you better like it. Yeah.
I feel so grateful because it's incredible that you learn a lot, and I don't know. I guess we will need a part 2, longer, more in depth into the startup scene, and
we'll do my summer cottage in Copenhagen next time.
Okay,
next time you're back.
That's it. But thank you so much, Rune. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
Those ones are always difficult.
I know.
So I want to thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it. It was pretty good to see you here.
Yeah.
And I think as a entrepreneurial listener, right? I think it's always it's never a single person job to build a business, right? So broaden out the network. Ask for help. Really, ask for help. It's like people like to help. You'll be surprised. And things will come to you in that way. I think there's a higher risk as an entrepreneur of isolating yourself under pressure, and it's counterintuitive. That's the moment you go out, you ask for help, you build out your network, and you get the support you need to move from there. That will be my final words.
Thank you so much. That was Rune from Rockstart, and have a good day wherever you are.
Have a good day all.
Oh my God! Thank you so much.
Thank you.